The true meaning of Christmas. Oh, hello there. Hi, I'm Richard, the Yorkshire Atheist. Sorry, you've just caught me while I was having a flick through my good old Holy Bible. Yeah, I was looking at the Christmas story, and I was looking in Matthew, but actually, I thought I'd start there because that was the first book of the New Testament. I thought that'll probably give us all the information we need to know. But it just sort of says Mary was accidentally pregnant by the Holy Spirit, and then Jesus was born. That was kind of it. So that probably Mark. Actually, Mark might be a better source of information because most scholars tend to agree that Mark was the first of the four Gospels that was written. So let's head to Mark and have a look, see what he says. Nothing. It's really interesting because I know people often go through the Bible and talk about contradictions between various things, but the four Gospels have very, very different priorities when it comes to Jesus' birth. We've either got his genealogy, which is for some reason very important, prophecy, and we've also got lots of details about Elizabeth and fertility, and it's just a bit of a mess. But all those stories sort of combined come into this sort of one big idea of what the Christmas story actually is. It's the one that most British people know from like infant school nativities. You've got Mary and Joseph going the long walk with the camel or the little donkey, because Little Donkey is a wonderful song to sing. And they go on the long walk to Bethlehem because there's the census and the Romans and Herod and all that lot. The shepherds, the angels, the wise men, the gifts, all that sort of stuff. Chucking away in a manger at the end, Silent Night, and Bob's your uncle. It's funny because I don't really see that as a whole consistent story in here. That's not what I read. Interesting, but anyway, that was kind of a tangent. And if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know that tangents are my speciality. So this video is all about the true meaning of Christmas, and I like to think that port is the true meaning of Christmas. My wife disagrees, but port is all you need. It's absolutely all you need. The true meaning of Christmas for me is an interesting one. And this kind of has to do with an upcoming video of mine to do with the established status of the Church of England in England. Whole separate topic, and we'll kind of get onto that at another time. But lots of people still think of the UK specifically as being a Christian country, and I think it's quite easy to think that. The Queen is the supreme governor of the Church of England. There is an established state church, which is the Church of England. If you flick on the BBC at any given Sunday, you'll see songs of praise, and on the radio you'll hear a Sunday service broadcast on BBC Radio 4 every week. All of our major festivals either honour saints like St George's Day or St Patrick's Day or St Andrew's Day, St David's Day, or they're to do with Christian festivals like Easter and Christmas. The majority of religious people in the UK claim to have an affiliation with Christianity. So it's quite easy, I think, to understand why people might describe the UK as a Christian country despite ever-dwindling numbers of actively worshipping Christians in the country. But Christmas remains the biggest national holiday festival celebration of the year. Now, when I was a Christian, I understood, I guess liturgically, that Easter had a bigger religious significance for me. Obviously that marks the sacrifice that Jesus made to atone for all our sins. Again, lots to say on that topic. But I could understand why Easter, was the more important festival religiously for me as a Christian. But Christmas always feels bigger because there's much more pomp and a bit more of a fanfare and a bit more of a to-do about Christmas than Easter, which kind of felt a bit minor to me. And it's kind of made me think, well, and there's all these debates about inclusivity when it comes to Christmas. Whether that's inclusivity to Christians, not taking the Christ out of Christmas, or whether that's inclusivity to people of other religions. Are we celebrating Eid or Diwali or festivals like that often happen at similar times, in the same way as we are Christmas, which is obviously traditionally a Christian festival. Let me talk you through an average Christmas day for me as a child, teenager, young adult when I was a Christian. Christmas Eve, we would go to bed at a reasonably late time on the hearth by the fireplace. We had a lovely coal fire in my house, a big Victorian house with a coal fire, like a wrought iron. I don't know if it's wrought iron, cast iron, whatever it was, a big iron coal fireplace. And on the stone hearth in front, we'd put a plate with a mince pie for Father Christmas, a carrot for Rudolph, and either a glass of milk or something like a lovely pot, chin chin, for Father Christmas to drink as well. We'd go to bed, get up in the morning. We'd have to wait for my mum and dad to get ready, get dressing gowns and all that lot, take ages, go downstairs. Father Christmas has been. And we go downstairs, see that the mince pie had been eaten, the carrot had been chomped, and the pot/milk had all been drunk. The presents would be there, we'd open our presents, lovely time, we'd do it one by one. This annoys a lot of people that I'd say that we did them one by one, because lots of families do it sort of a bit of a free-for-all and everyone just goes for it. But we do it one by one and make sure that we talk about who it's from and why we're thankful for that present and stuff. We'd have breakfast and get ready in some probably new clothes that we got. We'd head to church for the Christmas morning service. We never really went to like a midnight mass do. It was more of a Christmas morning service that was the focal point of our worship that time. And it was always a fun service on Christmas morning, so often it'd be that we'd be challenged by the vicar to take a present down to church that we thought was relatively biblically obscure. And it was the vicar's job to try and find a biblical link to our present. What an amazing game. Fab time. It was great. And obviously we heard the story of Jesus being born, and we might have already been to a Christingle service. If you don't know what one of those is, Google it, you've got the capacity to do so. Christingle service, might have been to a 9 Lessons and Carol service where we hear all the different versions of the story as well as the prophecies and all those sorts of things. Christmas morning was actually a bit of a nice time. It was a fun time, sing some Christmas carols, get the church organ blasting off. Great. Then we go home and essentially forget that we were Christians for the rest of the day. There would be, apart from the fact that in the corner there was probably a nativity scene somewhere. Apart from that, the day was as it would normally have been. Getting back in pyjamas, slobbing about, eating loads of food, far too much food, Christmas dinner mid-afternoon, Queen's speech, Christmas repeats of specials of Morecambe and Wise or whoever, Wallace and Gromit. I'd play on some games, play some toys, and that was kind of it really. We'd see family, we'd see friends, we'd exchange cards, we'd exchange gifts. But even as a Christian, for me, Christmas was a time of reflection and thankfulness, but actually, that is still there's still two things that I really value about Christmas: a time for reflection and thankfulness. It's coming towards the end of the year now, 2020, which has been a bit of a year, hasn't it? Let's be fair. And it's always a time for reflection, I think, about thinking about the year that's been, the year that's to come. And certainly part of that, a big part of that, is thankfulness. Thankfulness for, a good glass of port. But also for the stuff we've got, for the stuff that we're going to get. And I don't just mean presents and stuff. I mean family connection, port, obviously. I think it, and I don't think this is controversial for me to say this. Maybe it is, I don't know. But certainly nowadays, in the UK, Christmas is a secular festival. It's a secular festival with sort of fringe table decoration of Christian stories. But even those things I don't think are necessarily taken completely seriously, even by Christians. If you go to your local primary school that happens to be a church school, they'll do the nativity story, Mary and Joseph walking down. It was awesome. My son was Joseph in his nativity at school, and I was proud as punch. Absolutely chuffed for him to be Joseph, and he loved it as well. Tablecloth on your head, absolutely brilliant, engendering of racist stereotypes at an early age. But for me, Christmas, is a time where we think about Jesus and all that sort of stuff. But as an atheist, I just love Christmas. Love it to bits, because actually, the things that people love about Christmas isn't the God stuff and the Jesus stuff and the Bible stuff. I mean, I tried finding the Bible stuff and I struggled. It's family. It's twinkly lights. It's the smell of, mince pies in the oven, or the sights of the Christmas lights turning on in the street. It's the sound of all that amazing Christmas music that just completely fills your heart with nostalgia and wonder and love. It's certainly, as a parent as well, the absolute excitement. Like, the only reason I'm excited for Christmas Day, which at time of recording is in 2 days' time, the only reason I'm excited for Christmas Day is to see my kids' faces when they wake up and open the presents. I just cannot wait. I recently found a thing online. In fact, let me grab my phone and see if I can read it. I found a thing online which was an amazingly beautiful way of explaining to children. That's it. Of explaining to children who grow out of a Father Christmas belief, a Santa Claus belief, of explaining to them in a really great way the idea of Santa. And I'll read it to you in a second because I think it's great. I have long since thought, and I know it's not an uncommon comparison to make, about how belief in Father Christmas or Santa Claus, whatever you want to call him, and belief in God is kind of very similar. They're almost cognates. Father Christmas watches everything you do to see if you're on the naughty list or the nice list, and you get rewarded with presents or sanctioned with coal and a satsuma or whatever if you've not been good. That's kind of a similar idea to the way Christians believe Jesus and God. Watch everything they do and reward, punish, and all that lot. There's that sort of magic element, which I think both of the stories have. The mythologies are very similar, and again, I could create a whole other video on this. But I just thought this sort of sums up really well, and excuse me reading off my phone. And I'm possibly breaking copyright from somewhere. Who knows? I've got very few subscribers. I'm sure they won't find out. So basically, son is questioning, saying, "Dad, I don't think Father Christmas is real anymore. I think I'm old enough now." So Dad says, "Okay, I agree you're old enough to know the truth. But before I tell you, I have a question for you. You see, the truth is a dangerous gift. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. Once you know the truth about Father Christmas, you'll never again understand and relate to him as you do now. So my question is, are you sure you want to know?" Son says, "Yes, I want to know." Dad says, "Okay, I'll tell you. There is a Santa Claus. There is a Father Christmas." "Really?" Dad says, "Yeah, really. But he's not an old man with a beard in a red suit. That's just what we tell kids. See, kids are too young to understand the true nature of Santa Claus, so we explain it to them in a way that they can understand. The truth about Santa Claus is that he's not a person at all. He's an idea. Think of all those presents Santa gave you over the years. I actually bought you those myself and watched you open them. And did it bother me that you didn't thank me? Of course not. In fact, it gave me great pleasure. You see, Santa Claus is the idea of giving for the sake of giving, without thought of thanks or acknowledgement. When I saw that lady fall over on the street last week and call for help, I knew that she'd never know that it was me who called the ambulance. I was being Santa Claus when I did that. So now that you know you're part of it, you have to be Santa Claus too. That means you can never tell a young kid the secret, and you have to help us to select Santa presents for them. And most important, you have to look for opportunities to help people." Christmas is a time where families come together, friends come together, the exchanging of gifts, parties, food, port, obviously. But it's a time of giving and receiving, a time of sharing and being open. And this year particularly, it can seem, especially with all the tier systems, and I don't know, obviously I've got a bit of an international audience, and I know some people may not be up to date with the COVID restriction system in the UK. But you know, various people have got had Christmas plans changed, and family members they're not going to be able to see, and all that's changed at the very last minute. And I know that's really hard, but we can still do what we can, and I think we have an obligation morally to do so. For me, Christmas isn't about a story of a baby who probably existed, but we'll never know for sure. Christmas, to me, is about giving, is about receiving thankfully, but most of all, being there for one another. And especially this year, I think that's most important. Happy Christmas, everybody, and I hope you have a lovely Christmas and New Year. See you again soon.